Hey everybody, my name is Anthony Monaco. This is obviously my first video on this channel. I have wanted to do this for a long time, but it is very nerve-wracking, as you can probably tell by my voice, or you will at some point. I wanted to make videos probably 3-4 years ago, but especially 2 years ago before I started my journey in business. Basically, I'm making this video because I have come a long way and I want to start making videos and helping people out there. Basically, I've been putting it off for a while. I'm nervous to talk to a camera. I'm nervous because I don't know exactly what to talk about. I can say everything I want in my head, but when it comes to right when I get in front of the camera, it becomes difficult to say it over and recite it again. Basically, to start, like I said, my name is Anthony Monaco. Right now, I run 2 businesses that both generate over 6 figures. I run a painting business and I run a Christmas light installation business. One of my businesses, the Christmas lights, I only operate that probably 3 months, 2.5 months, 3 months, depending on takedowns. Out of the year, that business alone generates over $100,000 in income, so 6 figures. This year, we did close to $170,000 in 3 months, and then my painting business, which actually doesn't make quite as much as the other one, does generate, I think this year I did about $150,000. And this is my 3rd year in business for both of them, so painting and Christmas lights. But I run those 2 businesses, and then I'm working on 2 other businesses on the side. Those I'll talk more about in the future. I'll probably tell you guys about them, what they are. I'll kind of hint at one of them. One of them is going to be a bigger business to kind of help people start their own business and get out of their jobs. But basically on this channel, I want to go over my life, my backstory, how I got to where I'm at, how I started my businesses, how I grew my businesses, how I grew them, over 2 to 3 years, how you could do it quicker, the things I messed up on, business, fitness. So I have, my fitness journey I can go over that in some other videos. I'll touch on it a little bit in this video, but basically that's what I want to do with this channel. I want to help people who want to have a business or want to make side money, get out of their job, who, are working at a job, and they don't like their job, they don't want to have a boss, they want to have their own business, or they want to do their own thing, or they just want to make money on the side. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel. And on top of that, just helping people. So I'm going to be tracking my fitness journey, be tracking, whatever else, you guys want. So that is basically the channel in a nutshell. But for this video, I wanted to go over a few things. So first thing, like I mentioned, I run 2 businesses that make over 6 figures. I didn't get that from being born into money. I didn't get that from my parents. I actually 3 years ago was in debt, probably close to $10,000, which is realistically not that much compared to how much a lot of college students have. But, nonetheless, I was working a job. I was making $18 an hour. I was working probably 55 hours a week. So I was getting overtime. That was just enough to pay my bills. But between, bills and then food, and then, the biggest one is when cars break down, because then I'd be out of work for a week, or I'd be out of work for, a couple days, and then my boss would get mad, and then I would go into debt, and I didn't have money, and then I had to pay to fix the car again, no work, so you're not making money. So basically, yes, 3 years ago I was in debt, and I met somebody, actually my best friend, one of my best friends now, and he was running a business, and he, basically told me that I should drop out of college. I was going to college at that time, so I was full-time working, going to college full-time, trying to get into supply chain management. And then after my 3rd year, I got 77 credits, so 2.5 years. I decided that I was going to drop out. So I had my associates. I decided I was done with college. I still think about, maybe taking a class here and there so I don't lose my credits, but so far I have not gone back, and it has been 3 years. So I dropped out, and then I started my business. The first year I started my business, I started it late, so I started it around June. My first year I only did, I think it was about $4,000, and that was at the same time as I was working my job. And my first business was actually just a car detailing business. It wasn't even the painting business. So I was working my job, I was detailing cars, and I made about $4,000, which came out, that was roughly like 20 cars that I did that year. I just did it on the side after work. The Christmas lights, that one only did about profit about $4,000 that first year, and that was in 2 months. So obviously that was $8,000 the first year of business income. That was on top of what I was doing at my job. So my first year I did not do much. So most of my growth was in my second and third year. Painting grew the most in the second year. And then Christmas lights grew the most this past season. So obviously it's the end of December right now. As far as Christmas lights go, that runs roughly 3 months of the year. And then painting, I don't do a whole lot of interior painting. I do some, but for the most part, I do outside painting. So that business runs all year. But for the most part, I do a large majority of the work 7 months out of the year. I live in Michigan, so it's cold. So let's say 6 or 7 months. And then from now, we have takedowns for Christmas lights, but from now until the end of March, beginning of April, I have kind of an off season where I do a couple of painting jobs indoors. But that's why I wanted to start the YouTube channel, start working on some of the other businesses, the 2 other businesses I was growing on the side that I'll talk more about, and in different videos. I'll touch on it at the end of this video. One of the things I have going on. But basically, yep, that is my journey so far. The second year painting did pretty well. I went from that first year. Oh, actually, like I said, the detailing was the first year. It was $4,000. I started painting. I did my first painting job in 2024 April. It was actually staining a deck. That was my first ever job. That took me 5 days, and in those 5 days, I made, I think it was about $900 profit. And at that point, after my first job, I knew that I had something going on because I'd never made that much money in my life. Where I was working, this is the second year at this point. I swapped jobs over that winter. I was working at Aldi, and I was making, I think, $23 an hour. So at the end of the week, I was making roughly, I think, after taxes and everything, I was making about $700 a week, $600 a week. So doing that deck staining job, I made $900. That was after I calculated tax. So I realized I had something, because it definitely didn't take me 40 hours to do that job. It took me, I think, from what I can remember, like 20 hours, and I made $900 profit after tax. And then I decided that this was it. I was going to go all in on painting. So I went all in on painting. I was doing it while I was working my job from April until I think it was July or August. I think July I went part-time at Aldi near the beginning of July, and then before the end of August I got so busy that I had to quit. So by the end of August I quit. I painted until the end of October, and then we did Christmas lights. I think painting last year, 2024, my first year of painting, I did 96,000. So I got pretty close to 100. I wanted to hit it right at the end of October. I was trying to get jobs. I had one job that I was going to do to end the season. I think it was a $6,000 house painting on the exterior, and I think the weather ended up getting cold. We ended up rescheduling, and then they never ended up getting it done. They canceled for the next year. So 96,000 was right around there is what I made my first year painting. Obviously that's gross. My profit, well, I'll go into my profits in different videos, but that first year painting, I was able to quit my job, make more than what I was making. I think what I made at Aldi, $23 an hour, 52 hours a week, or 50. I think at that point I was working about 45 hours a week. So, I brought home like gross, but like 47,000, something like that. And then my profit for painting was more than that in my first year. So I was able to quit my job. I was able to swap my income, and I was able to, do that. And that was from, like I said, April to the very end of October. So that would be, I think, I can't do math, 7 or 8 months. So in 7 or 8 months, I was able to quit my job and made more than I was making at my job, even though the half of the season I was only able to do painting half the day, basically. Christmas lights that year was good. After that first year, we did 4,000, like I mentioned. Last year, 2024, we did, profit, we did 13 each. Yeah, I think the profit was about 13. The gross revenue was somewhere around that 30,000, something like that. But anyways, so last year painting did pretty well. 2025, so this year, last year, what I mean. Painting, I haven't done the numbers yet, so I still have to do my taxes. I'm not sure what my gross revenue was. I'm not sure what my profit was. I know painting, I did over 100. I hit 100. So like I said, I started in April. Things did slow down, May, June, July, August. I think I hit 100 in August, and then it slowed down. So I don't know where I'm at. I think maybe I'm hoping I did 150 painting, but we'll see. And then Christmas lights was pretty good. We did 160 doing Christmas lights. So that was nice. And that was only in, 2-3 months of time. We still have to do takedowns. That, it takes an extra 2 weeks, but that's, that makes it 3 months total. So, but basically, yes, that's my, breakdown. I'll probably talk about that a lot more in other videos, but that is from what I can remember, my rough numbers. They're not exact. They might be off by, 5,000-10,000. I can't exactly remember. I might have even said it different at the beginning of the video. I just can't. I haven't done my taxes this year, so I don't know the exact numbers for this 2025 season. Other than that, what I want to talk about is my fitness journey. So 2023, the end of 2023, I forget. I started doing my fitness journey, so I started working out. I worked out for about 8 months. I'll make another video on this. So I was pretty scrawny. I got bigger. I worked out for 8 months. Unfortunately, I then got into a pretty bad car accident. I was in the hospital. I got out after about, couple weeks, a month of healing. I tried to get in the gym and I couldn't even, do rows of like 5 pounds without it being in excruciating pain. I had to go through physical therapy. I did that for about 3 months for physical therapy as I was healing. So I was out of the gym for like 6 or 7 months, actually 6 or 7 months. But yeah, because I had a bad injury on my shoulder, on my chest from the seatbelt, kind of, dislocated or something with my shoulder blade, and I was unable to, do any push movements, any pull movements. So that was pretty bad. I lost, basically 80% of everything that I gained in those months. And then after I finally started getting back into the gym, I did that for about another 4 or 5 months. And then that's when business started to get so busy and I kind of stopped going to the gym, which actually kind of upsets me. I've lost a lot of progress. Obviously I haven't lost all of it, but I'm not muscular really at all. I was getting there to the point, after those 8 months of focusing, I was getting to a point where I was proud of myself. But this year is going to be different. 2026, I'm going to prioritize health a lot more. I've started the keto diet 3 days ago, so hopefully that goes well. I think tomorrow I'm going to make a video, or the next day, going over my diet, and I think I'm going to maybe do that each week and do progress pics of the keto diet, and then working out, and then I'm gonna make a video on my body basically, and then maybe each month or whatever I'm gonna make a update video on what I'm doing, how my diet's going, go over the numbers, what I'm doing for workouts. I'm gonna do weight training as well as calisthenics. That might change in the future. I'm probably gonna be doing meal prep, so I'm gonna make videos on that. Like I said, this channel is mostly gonna be about business, but it's also gonna include diet, meal prep, fitness, but a large majority is going to be business and helping people, get to a better spot in their business, but then also, going over my, health plan, what I'm doing. So I'm going to do all that. Yeah, that's what this channel is going to be about. I know this is a long drawn out video. It's my first one. I'm already feeling a little bit better talking to the camera. I hope if you guys watch this video, and I know almost nobody's going to see this video, and if they do see this video, it's going to be because my future videos get likes and get views and whatnot, and then they're going to look back and they're going to see this video, and then they're going to see the next couple videos I make talking about my journey and how I got here, and basically all that information. So, and other than that, what I want to say is obviously this channel is for helping people get out of debt, start a business, or make more money on the side, or get out of the job. One of the businesses I have working on, one I'm not gonna talk about. It's kind of one of my own things I'm doing, kind of like a little hobby. But I'm working on a business with somebody else who runs a business in New York. I'm in Michigan, so I have my own section of this business, and he has his own section. Basically, we're creating, if not the only, maybe one of the biggest groups or platforms, you could say, I'm not sure how I'd call it, to help people get out of debt and start their own business. So that's coming. That's probably going to be here. I'm going to start my own branch of stuff probably in the next 2 months. But the bigger thing that we're working on building, that's probably going to take 6 months, maybe a year. So maybe we'll start showing it off a little bit once we start putting it together. But it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of traveling. We're going to be, going to a lot of different states, probably across the U.S. Because our goal is to be able to teach everybody in the country. So obviously everybody everywhere, but this channel is mostly focused on the United States. But especially for that program. But as far as making a business, this channel can be for anybody that wants to start a business. But as far as that business goes, it's probably going to be a little more focused on, making a business in the United States. Maybe we'll expand, but that's where our general focus and knowledge is. So yeah, so that is the point of this channel. That is what we're going to be doing. So I hope you guys, stick around, watch some more videos. If you guys see this video in the future, I hope you watch the whole video. So hopefully I get better at talking to the camera. Hopefully I get a better setup. I've seen a couple videos that said, you want to have some decorations in the background, or you want to put the lighting this way. So this is some super cheap lighting. It's a ring light that my, the lady owns, because she does tattooing. So, and then that's her Lego roses. So they said, make sure, I've seen a lot of videos that say, you have to have a plant in the background when you make YouTube videos. So that's our plant. That's the, plant. Maybe I'll get a different one, or maybe I'll stick with the Lego roses since I started with it. So, and then also here's some books that I like. So you guys will, check those out if you wanna. I'll probably maybe go over some of those in future videos. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, leave a like, leave a comment on a business you want to start or something, and then subscribe if you want to, be notified when I post videos, because I'm gonna help some people out. Yeah. Thank you.